So we spent some time earlier today, a couple of times actually, as our question of the day, asking you what you thought about this situation. If you have not seen the video, we can actually only play a little bit of it. First of all, it's disgusting. It's this gentleman in a car being taken over, or being ticketed rather, for having tinted windows that are simply too dark, and just goes off on a tirade against this female police officer who was there. Calling her every name, every conceivable name in the book. Beyond that, though, I mean, some of the stuff in here is just, I mean, it's horrendous. It is misogynistic, sexist, call it whatever you will, and the officer does nothing, which is great because that's what she's trained to do, not to react. But then the question became, when I asked it, what should happen to this person, to this man who not only went off on this woman, then posted it to social media as some kind of, I guess, a badge of honor? Like, we're supposed to look at this and see, look at how I treated this female police officer. Aren't I a great guy? Aren't I a hero of some kind? I'm not sure what the deal is. Regardless, most of you said and agreed that, this is a terrible thing for him to have done. I don't know how you could think otherwise. But with respect to what should happen to him, there is no Montreal bylaw. Not in this city. There is in other places in Quebec, including, by the way, in Laval and in Sherbrooke and in Quebec City, where if you were to do this, you could be ticketed for an offense. But of course, the question then became, do you think anything should happen to this person because that bylaw doesn't exist here? Or is this simply a matter of free speech? Does it become a slippery slope when we go ahead and ticket or, put someone like this in jail as opposed to someone else? It's not really a hate crime, or is it? So we thought we'd try to find out a little bit more. Eric Sutton is a Montreal criminal defense attorney. Mr. Sutton, thank you for your time this afternoon. You're familiar with what I'm talking about. For people who did not hear it, and I'm only going to play a small snippet of it, the actual video, by the way, we can't even play because there's stuff in here we would, simply are not able to do on radio. So we've edited it as best we could, but I think you get the basic idea of how this particular individual went after this police officer.
Bonjour.
Ouais, tu m'as dit pourquoi?
Pour tes vides teintés.
Sale p***. Tu m'as entendu tout le long là-bas, sale p***. Puis quand tu es sorti, t'es venu m'arrêter.
Non, je suis là puis j'attends.
Ferme ta gueule, sale p***. Tu m'attendais là-bas tout le long. Dès que je suis sorti, tu m'as arrêté, petite p***, avec ta tête de ch**. Sale ch**. Ferme ta gueule, sale p***. Ferme ta gueule, vérifie ton p***. Pourquoi tu me dis ça?
I think you get the idea. He goes on and on. I don't think I have to translate too much of that. He called her a dog at some point. He said he could have her as a slave. So at the end of the day, as I said, what happens here, Mr. Sutton? First of all, your reaction to that, and I understand you're looking at it this as a criminal defense attorney. Was there anything here objectionable enough that you would have someone arrested?
No, there really isn't. I know it's very offensive to the ears, and I understand the reaction of the public, and it's certainly comprehensible. But there's not much in the way of recourses from a legal standpoint against this person, very little.
So what has this person done, if anything, that could get him in trouble?
Well, from what I observed and listened to, nothing really. Because the city of Montreal doesn't have a bylaw that prohibits using offensive or vulgar language to a police officer, which is not something that I was even aware of, to be honest. I thought that the bylaw, that we had a bylaw in the city, but we don't. But short of a bylaw, there's really not. It's certainly not a criminal offense. It's not. He hasn't committed a crime. Using foul or vulgar offensive language should not be a crime. I just don't think it should be. But I understand the revulsion we all feel when you hear someone sounding off who you framed it very well by saying this is like a badge of honor for him. I don't think there's any accident. This was planned. He had his phone or whatever device he was using ready to record. He knew this was coming, and he planned to do it and did it, and has gotten probably a significant number of views. So we're all in a way guilty of giving him the kind of attention and support he's looking for.
When would this hypothetically rise to a level of a potential crime? And I'm also thinking beyond the police officer who is acting obviously in her capacity as a peace officer, civilly. If you got into a fight like this on the street with someone, I'm calling it a fight, she was involved, but I'm saying if this had happened between two citizens, right, could this escalate to another level? I mean, you could go to court, could you not?
I mean, you can always go to court. I just don't see this as a very realistic option to hire lawyers and use up court time because of someone's language. Theoretically, you can always sue if you suffer damages for some kind of wrongful act. is using foul language wrong. It might be morally wrong, but I just don't think. I mean, there's a potential here maybe for a hate crime if this video was published, and if you feel that it will instill a sense of contempt or hatred for a person of the female sex, I think it's a long shot. It's a Hail Mary if people are looking for some kind of criminal recourse being taken against this person. I really doubt it.
Well, then let me ask, with respect to, as I mentioned, other sort of, jurisdictions in the province that do have this as a bylaw on their books, what would happen in a case like that?
Well, the police officer could have issued 2 tickets, one for the tinted windows, and if there was the bylaw, a ticket for using offensive and vulgar language. And the individual will be looking at a fine, like jaywalking or any other kind of minor regulatory infraction. I don't really think it's going to stem, the rise this person must have got by posting this video and seeing the interest it's garnered is probably well worth the cost of a ticket.
Yeah, although, again, I kind of understand that, but then again, I think most of it is derision. I'm sure there's some who will sit back and celebrate. I don't know if they're stupid enough to do that publicly, but you're right. I guess to some degree he got the eyeballs he was looking for, which I think is even worse. What would have happened, if I can just take you there, hypothetically, had he waved his fist at this officer?
Oh, that's totally different. That waving your fist is an aggressive act that could be seen as an assault. Coupled with the language he was using, she could then have arrested him for assault. Because assault, you don't actually have to strike someone. If you threaten to strike someone, if they reasonably fear that you may strike them, that you will strike them, you could be charged with assault. So that would have completely changed the complexion of what happened. Okay. But he was fairly restrained. I hate to use that and give him the benefit of any compliment, but there wasn't really in his body language anything that I could see that was aggressive. It was just the words used.
Okay. And if I would ask that, you kind of alluded to this, but I just want to make sure I understand. I had actually someone call who said she is a lawyer, not a criminal lawyer, but a lawyer, and thought that based on what she had seen and what she had heard from this man, that could in fact be considered as rising to a hate crime. But nothing that you saw that you would say that? I
just don't see that a prosecutor would feel comfortable taking this. The hate crime aspect certainly wouldn't be the exchange he had with the officer. It's more the fact that he posted this, he published this video.
Oh.
And because that way you're reaching a large audience, and you could reasonably expect that some people would follow suit and think this is something we should do as well, and it could have a bit of a domino effect. In fact, it may have a domino effect. This might not be the last time we hear or see this type of video.
Hold on. If that were to happen, would that then make you, I don't know what the word would be, an accomplice to this? If someone took this and said, hey, I saw this and here's what I did based on that?
It could be, or it could be evidence to support a prosecution for instilling, by your words and actions, instilling hatred towards an identifiable group, in this case being women. So,
okay.
I mean, it's not inconceivable. I don't think it's likely. I think it's highly, highly improbable that a prosecutor would want to venture down that path.
Last question I would ask. We took many, many calls on this. My wife called as well and said if that had been her, after giving this man the ticket, she would have shot all 4 of his tires out, at which point I said, well, then you probably would lose your job as a police officer. Let's say that had happened. Am I right in having said that?
Oh, yes.
Well, I mean, you get angry, you get whatever.
I can't,
She's not hurting the person, she's hurting his vehicle, if you will.
Yeah, but it's still, it's considered mischief. It's not.
Okay.
It wouldn't be worth the momentary satisfaction the officer might have got. This was actually not a Montreal City police officer. It was a SQ officer.
Right.
But they patrol the highways that run through the city.
Mr. Sutton, always appreciate you weighing in and giving us your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Aaron.
Take care.
Bye.
That's Montreal criminal defense attorney Eric Sutton. Interesting, huh? And obviously this person, I guess, since he's been stopped by police before for basically the same crime, you know, those windows that he apparently does not feel are serious enough, $186 ticket, not serious enough to get them fixed or cleaned or whatever you have to do to them. But imagine, I had not known that. So had he raised a fist, not even, you know, if they hit anyone, as he just said, just raise the fist in that motion, then it's a whole different ballgame.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.